Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Reminds me of a similar story. The first time I went over to my friend's house for a sleepover, I saw he had a weight on the ground and I decided to do a bunch of arm curls. Now on the weight, 1T was the only thing written on it, probably the brand name or something. So I asked him how much it weighed, and he tells me it weighs 1 ton. Me, haha, imagine that. No, seriously, how much does it weigh, dude? Him, it weighs a ton. It says right there. Me, dude, it can't weigh a ton. That's impossible. No one can lift that. Him, okay, let's ask my mom. We asked his mom and she seriously believed it weighed a ton. She's a lawyer. Anyway, I googled the curb weight of her car, Toyota Yaris, and it was a little over a ton, which finally convinced them that this tiny workout tool could not possibly be a ton. Was working at a grocery store over a decade ago. I wouldn't call a kid dumb, because he just didn't know. It's more of a funny thing. He was new and the manager asked him to face the store. When he asked what he could do, facing means you make sure the aisles look nice and neat, and that the product is pulled forward and visibly facing you as you walk down the aisle. The kid couldn't be found until someone told the manager one of the workers was just standing in the parking lot facing the store. I will never forget that. To be fair, he did follow instructions literally. Put him in charge of the orange juice concentrate, just to watch his face turn purple from the effort. A friend of mine is a sweet guy, but is overweight and balding and quite frankly, not very attractive in the face. Well, one day he lets us know that he has met a girl and she might be the one. He's in his late 20s for reference. Well, I've met some of the jewels he's hooked up with in the past, so I wasn't expecting too much. Finally meet this girl, and she is drop dead gorgeous, and has a body that is incredible. I talked to her for a while, and she is super friendly and outgoing. I'm stoked for my boy. He found the best he's ever gonna find. Anyway, the night progresses, and the new couple starts talking about their plans for an upcoming trip to New Mexico, and she starts telling us how excited she is, because she has never gone to another country before. I laughed a bit, and realized she was dead serious. My friend just looked at me, and shook his head, and I knew that he knew. She was dumb as a freaking rock, but she was his dumb freaking rock. For what it's worth, he helped her get her passport. Not knowing that New Mexico is a state in the US is practically a trope in New Mexico. We are used to it. My favorite was the guy who asked me if I could drink the tap water here, or if I had to buy bottled water all the time. I worked at a bank for a while, and had a teller ask me if we could accept a New Mexico driver's license as valid, since it was a foreign ID. My girlfriend is from New Mexico, and when her dad was flying back home, first class, through Texas, he was told that the first class lounge was open only to international travelers, but the woman who looked at his boarding pass let him in, because it's not in America. We hired a girl a couple years ago. I told her where the manager's office was her first day. Second day, she asked me where the manager's office was, so I walked her to the door. Third day, she asks me where it is again. Our manager chewed out the girl who trained our new recruit for not teaching the job properly. The trainer pulled out her phone and showed the manager a picture of the girl wearing the uniform backwards and said, "Look at this. This is untrainable." New girl got fired about 3 weeks later for stealing the product because she thought she got it for free because she was an employee. Edit. Some of you are kind enough to give her the benefit of the doubt about not finding the office. Unfortunately, this office was located on the second floor, which consisted of a hallway with a single door and nothing else. It wasn't possible to get lost. Also, spelling. Had a guy like that. After showing him something for the third time that week, I told home to write it down in a cheat sheet format. Told him to do the same thing for every problem he came across. Yes, it slowed down his work more, but at least he could know. Be left unsupervised for small periods of time. I would go over his notes, help him fill in details and format it so it would look official, then file it so other people could use them. He still came up to me and asked me how to fix the same problems he had felt with in the past. I would tell him he has already felt with that problem before and to check his notes. I caught up with a mutual co-worker a few years back. He is still as dumb as dog poop, but he can cack up documentation like there is no tomorrow. A few times I was looking at internal documents and saw his name as an author. Edit, leaving deltas felt because mistakes happen. This reminds me of a girl I like to remember as Mugan. She would just glaze over and leave her body when you delivered the most basic instructions. It was not a hard job. She hugged me when I fired her 2 weeks later. Edit, I think back and still remember her dearly. I won't give the real example since it might give away too much info, but it was similar to not knowing that a human is supposed to have 2 arms and not 3. She was unbearably dense, but I really tried to give her a chance. My staff and my customers were getting pretty frustrated with her, so I didn't really have a choice. I promise I'll let her down gently. She could tell I felt bad, which is why she hugged me. Edit 2. I'm going to give an example of a time when someone probably thought I was the biggest idiot in the world. My assistant manager's boyfriend came to visit with cool new glasses. White on the outside, black on the inside. I asked him if they were reversible. OMG, we had one of those. Her eyes would go black like a demon when you told her any type of instruction. And then, right before you were done with your sentence, she'd interrupt to finish your sentence incorrectly. So when you polish the glasses, make sure to store them in the cooler. Got it? No, you put them in the glass rack. Right, that's what I said. The urge to strangle has never been so real. Edit, she didn't have ADHD. She just thought she knew better than everyone. She used to interrupt our boss during pre-shift meetings, like he wasn't in the middle of a sentence. Beyond that, every other word out of her mouth was, "At my last job, we used to do it this way." Once I watched her tell a guest, "How could you eat that? It's so gross looking," when she cleared his plate. Just a garden variety jerk. I used to work with the nicest person I've ever met, but he was also the dumbest. Even though he had been there over a year, he couldn't do anything beside washing dishes without someone watching over him. He just could not figure out how to do anything on his own. Someone, usually me, would have to watch over every little thing he did to make sure he was doing it right. It would have been frustrating if he wasn't the nicest dang person on earth. He was always so happy to see you and did everything with a smile on his face. Luckily he could wash dishes like a freaking beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say he could wash dishes faster and cleaner than anyone I have ever met. That's the reason he would do other stuff, is because he washed dishes so dang fast we'd have to find other stuff for him to do. His wife was normal and all his kids were doctors or engineers. They were all crazy smart. What was kind of sad is that he knew he wasn't the smartest, but he was so dang nice. The fact he knew he wasn't the smartest actually shows he's pretty intelligent in at least that specific way, and humble. Most dumb people have no idea they're dumb. This is probably the only person in the whole thread who I actually look up to. Edit, Dunning-Kruger effect. Yes, you guys can stop sharing that with me now, haha. My friend has a relative who has Down syndrome. She hates being babied. She knows about her disability and she has a job. She is way smarter compared to some self-absorbed idiot jerks I have met. I remember a guy I knew in middle school who put money into a vending machine and then his item didn't come out. Then he put more money into the machine and 2 of the item he wanted came out. He then exclaimed, "Alright, 2 for 1. Man, I remember a guy in middle school who would put money in the vending machine and then sell the item for less money because he thought that's what making a profit was. My son buys the 2 for $1 chips and sells them at school for 75 cents each. He said 99% of the other students don't understand why he doesn't sell them for 50 cents each. Because then he'd sell way more. I told him not to bother explaining profit and convenience fees to them anymore. Some people are literally too stupid to ever understand. By the way, these are middle schoolers. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.